Alright, what is going on YouTube? Back again with another deck profile here for you today. Obviously, as you can see here, is Kozmo. Sorry about that. Um, Let me know in the comment section below if the camera quality is pretty decent um, or not. I mean, it looks decent on my end, but hopefully it's good for you guys. But yeah, so I mean, this particular build here, it's there's no extra deck involved. I know usually some people would like to run an extra deck with Kozmo, but this is just a pure main deck build. Extra deck is not needed at all. I do not run extra deck at all. So we're going to hop right into it, and hopefully you guys do find this informative. If you do, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new, and hit that notification bell so you can get notified every time I upload a video here for you on the channel. I not only do reaction videos on the channel, I also do other content, so please just be aware of that. Hopefully you guys still do consider subscribing to the channel. It helps me out greatly, and I do appreciate it. But we're going to hop right into this for you right now. Alright, so we're going to start off with the monster lineup here for you. It's going to be the Course 3 one can. Everybody used to call this one can back in the day. I don't know, not so much now. It's a little bit slower, for this format. I do still run it at 3 because I run 3 E-Tele, and what I mean by E-Tele is 3 psychic teleport. There is a newer, I would say kind of like a newer engine in the deck here that is kind of like another pilot, but it's actually better. And I'll show you exactly which one that is as the video goes on. But yeah, 3, I mean, it's pretty much standard. Running any less is kind of like a hindrance a little bit. The odds of you really bricking with this is not very high, even though it's at 3. Literally, all you do with this is when you get to your field, of course, it has the banish effect of banishing for level 2 or higher. This gets you into your level 2 or higher pilots and also your ships. So, yeah, I mean, and of course at your end phase, you can select 3 your deck with different names. Kozmo, of course, it has to have Kozmo in their name, but with different ending names. Like you can do Cosmo Destroyer, Cosmojo. Like this can even do like your traps and spells that are Cosmo related. But yeah, and then you pretty much get 3 of those, and your opponent picks for you at random, and then you add 1 to your hand and shuffle. And you actually don't shuffle; you send the other 2 to your graveyard. So it's kind of like an excavation, like you're excavating, but really you're milling in a way. Alright, so next up is going to be, I only run 1 of the Straw Man. I had another one, of course. It's one of those things where I don't know what the heck I did with it. So I'm probably going to order another one. I do want this at 2, but right now, I mean, I've been using it at 1, and it hasn't really been too bad. There's only been maybe 1 or 2 times where I needed the extra one, but I was still able to pull off a win. So, I mean, that's okay. And if anybody doesn't know what this does, of course, it has the banish effect from field for 3 or higher Cosmo monster. And then you can actually target a Cosmo monster out of play. For a secondary effect, pay 500 life points. Bring any Cosmo monster that was banished back from out of play. And pretty much just plop in the field, but its effects are negated. Alright, so the new pilot of the deck, it's kind of a new pilot really, but it's a pilot, but it's a non-Cosmo card, which is actually kind of funny. So I do run 3 of the Psychic Processor. I do run this at 3, and literally it's too good not to run at 3, guys. It's just too good. Literally, you could banish this out of play, and then special summon up to 2 machines, psychic or Cybrace monsters from your hand. And you can actually mix and match. It doesn't have to be like two machine, two psychic, or two cybrace. It could be like one psychic, one machine. And for this deck, you definitely need the psychic aspect of it and also the machine aspect of it as well. And literally, you can summon this off of Psychic Teleport. That is like one of the targets of Psychic Teleport. And of course, your second target would actually be your Wind Can. And of course, this usually a lot of times you want to go for either like a Destroyer or your Farm Girl. And the best part of this is you can actually attack directly off of this effect when those monsters are summoned off of Processor's effect. You can attack directly, which is actually pretty phenomenal. And of course, every single time it's your opponent's standby phase that this card is out of play, regardless of if it was removed from play by its own effect or not, you actually return it back to your hand during your opponent's standby phase, or I believe it's the very next standby phase. During the standby phase of the next turn after this card was banished, you can return it to your hand, which is pretty phenomenal, right? That's crazy. Now, I will say though, this is it is very hard to get. Most of the places I found were like out of stock, and the ones that these two right here, like these two, like this one, I found it was like pretty reasonable, but it was like on what you call on Toy Wiz. But this one I had ordered from, these two I had ordered from TCG Player, but the prices were like almost like $32 a piece, so it's a little bit on the pricey side unless it gets reprinted. Right now, these are like the only prints out, really. But yeah, I mean, unless it gets reprinted, like even lower rarity. This one wasn't too much. It was like $11. This one, but this rarity here, for some reason, it was just like anniversary rarity, and it was the only other one I could find because all the other ones were out of stock. So. Now, if you're looking for them, I would just say ask a friend or ask somebody if you, at your locals or regionals if they have them, if they're willing to part with them or not. So next up, one of the best searcher pilots of your deck, literally searches out any ship that you would need, any spell or trap card you would need that is Kozmo related, of course. Yeah, you literally just off of what you call a processor. Even if you have two of these in your hand, usually I like to have two in my hand. Like when I use the processor, just for the simple fact that like you're just hitting your opponent for freaking like 3K for free, and then you're getting a I believe you get a double search off this. Yep, and it doesn't say like once per turn or anything like that, so they're not once per turn, which is actually kind of crazy. And yeah, so if you have two of these, you hit your opponent for 3K directly, and then you get a double search off from your deck to your hand. And of course, it's always just gotta pay that that little fee, that little 500. But hey, I hit 3K for you, I pay 500. It's a pretty good trade off. All right, next up, the other pilot that I run is the what you call it, Kozmo Wicked Witch. I kind of wish I had the other one like the same rarity, but they're pretty much sold out, online for the most part. And this was like another one that I found like in my cards. This was like back when like the cards like first came out. The very first reprint after the initial release. I got it from a pack, but it was a common, which is actually kind of sad, but it is what it is. But literally all she is just a tank Like you would pay 1,000 to protect yourself from being destroyed by battle if you need to stall for any particular reason. Usually every once in a while, like if you don't really draw too great of a hand like to start with, and you do get her, she is good for stalling for at least like a turn or two. Usually in the beginning of duels, people really don't have like board like maybe a lot of like board breaking stuff, like right off the bat. Uh, a lot of times, she's good to at least stall for at least one turn, and then of course you can just banish her for a level 5 or higher Kozmo monster from your hand, which is pretty cool. Alright, so last pilot of the deck is my Dark Lady. I run her at 3. Any less will be criminal. You definitely need her at 3, especially with the way the format is right now. You need those effect negations in here. You need that. You need the monster effect negations, and she's an effect negator, and she does a level 6 or higher. When you banish her from play from the field, you can special summon a level 6 or higher Kozmo monster from your hand to the field. Oh, and for the negation, you do have to pay 1,000. I don't know why I forgot that. Sorry. All right. So, and of course the ships of the deck starting at 5, because that's when you start getting to your ships. Level 5 ship is your Slip Rider. Very good for back row hate. There are some decks in this current format that do run traps, but it's not a lot. So usually, mainly you're hitting continuous spells or field spells for the most part. But it's basically a walking MST. And of course, if it dies, and as long as it gets sent to the graveyard, you can banish it from your grave to special summon a level 4 or lower Kozmo monster from your deck to your field. So it helps you float back into your pilots, which is pretty good. Next up, I do run the 2 Landwalker. Landwalker is actually pretty cool because he has the effect where if I control another Kozmo card, and my cards would be destroyed, I can select another card. I can select just one of the other Kozmo cards on the field and just destroy that one instead to protect the others. So usually, what you do with this is if you have the Kozmo Town on the field, you could just pop Kozmo Town, protect all your Kozmo monsters, like from a board wipe effect, and when Kozmo Town is destroyed, it lets you search one Kozmo card, directly from your deck to your hand, which is pretty badass. All right, so next up, one of my favorite pilots of the deck is the Forerunner, Kozmo Forerunner. I really love this card. I really love just sitting it on the field and just gaining life points. I don't know why I really do like decks that just help you gain life points, because it's one of those things where it's like, I guess in a way it's like kind of weird with me. When I get lower in life points, I get like anxiety, man. It's just like kind of crazy. It's just a game. I just get anxiety. I guess maybe because I don't know. I could be a sore loser, guys. That's just maybe just the truth of the matter. But I just getting like anxiety. It's like, oh god, I only have this much life points left, and I'm worried about the life points, and I'm worrying about like what's on my opponent's field, and trying to get around like whatever the board they established. And like back in the day, I used to like concede a lot with certain decks that used to run, because I would get like to a certain life points, and I'll be like, nah, it's over. Like I lose. Like even though I had like plays, like I could have came back, I was just too like overwhelmed to be like, oh crap, like especially if my opponent had like an overwhelming field. I'm like, yeah, whatever. I give up. It's like, I could have came back and won it, but All right, so next up, your monster pop, or just a pop, whatever you need. I believe it's a monster pop, right? Yep, monster pop of the deck. Self-explanatory. You get a lower pilot. Banish off, summon him out. You can destroy himself if it comes down to it, if you need to for some reason. Like if you bring him out, pop pop him, float down. Usually, a lot of times, the only time I pop him is when I try to float down into Dark Lady, because I know for a fact, like next turn, you're gonna do something that I don't want you to do, especially if I know the deck. Then I usually pop himself, float down into Dark Lady, and then I usually bring him back with either Straw Man or I have a spell card that brings back monsters from out of play. Different dimension. Was it reincarnation? Sorry, excuse me. Different dimension reincarnation. Like you discard one, bring them back, and you still get the effect when it's summoned because the effect's not negated, at least off the app, which is pretty cool. Okay, next up, Trap Negator. Do you run Eclipser? Run it at 1. I was running it at 2. Debatable if it's even really useful at 2. It's just there, man. Like, you know, if this was like a more trap heavy format, I'd probably actually be running this at 3, to be honest. Or maybe possibly 2. Honestly, I'm not going to push it, probably 2. But just for your, when you put your tin can mills into the grave, if you manage to get him out, when every time your opponent activates a trap card, you literally banish one of your Kozmo monsters out of play and negate the activation. And then if you do, destroy it. It's just there for back rotate. And of course, the last pilot of the deck is going to be Dark Planet. I gotta run Dark Planet, guys, because spell heavy format. There are a lot of decks that run all monsters, all spells, and like maybe like 1 or 2 traps. So it's just like one of those things where it's like I'd rather just be prepared, to be honest. I run it at 3 just for the simple fact that you could banish itself to summon itself freely. And running it any less than 3, you would actually kind of brick on this if you run it less than 3. So if you're going to run it, you might as well run it at full force instead of running it less. And then of course, if you have to, you can also just banish 2 Kozmo monsters that either equal its level or exceed the level, and then you can plop them on the field. And of course, if you did your tin can or 1 can effect, you have negations in the graveyard for your opponent's spell cards. If they try to activate any spells, you can banish 1 Kozmo monster from your graveyard to negate the activation if you did destroy it. And on top of that, he's a 4K beater. So I was like, I just love decks that have 4K beaters, because back in the day, like I'd always come short when it comes to like decks that would have like monsters that would have like 3,000 or 3,100 in their like monsters in their deck. And a lot of my monsters, I used to run like Blackwings back in the day, and all my monsters were like always like under 3,000. And a lot of times I would lose out. Now this is with the old Blackwings, not like the newer Blackwings, like old Blackwings. We only had like was it Mastery Arm or whatever the 7-star one was. That you attack, you wouldn't take any damage, but like you would just like put a token on them. And then there was another one where it was where like you attack the defense and then you do piercing. But I think that other sticker he was only like 23 though, which is kind of just like like hit or miss really. But enough ranting and raving. That was just one little pet peeve I have about that. I'd rather have monsters like if I need that monster where like if I'm staring down on a boss monster that's freaking like 3,200 or 3,500, I'd rather have that 4K beater. I could just plop it in the field and just run over your monster. Now I'm pretty sure you guys did probably see it by accident, like card dropped down in my hand, but I'm gonna show it anyway because it's for the deck profile. Last monster of the deck, I do run 2 Jinzo, just for the simple fact that off of the I do run a what you call it in here, the psychic arsenal. And literally what you do is you could target one psychic monster, half your life points, and then uh, I'm sorry, not half your life points, pay life points for the stars times two, and then you can add one machine, with the same thing to your hand. But yeah, I mean, I literally run it like just for that reason. Uh, Getting into the spells of the deck, I know it's kind of ranting and raving a little bit. I do run three Cosmo Town. Please disregard that last comment. I just made three Cosmo Town. I will never run any less than three. Pop it off of Landwalker. Pop it off your own Slip Rider, because you just plus when this card dies. You also plus when it's on the field because any Cosmo monster that's been removed from play, you could select one of them, return it to your hand, and you take that monster's level as damage times 100. Also, if your hand's a little bricky on Cosmo monsters, you can actually reveal them to your opponent and shuffle back into the deck and literally draw the same amount. Alright, so next up, Psychic Teleport for your processor, wind can, and farm grower targets. So this card's finally back at 3, thank God. It's been too long. There's other decks that are just far more broken than this, decks like this now. But it's one of those things where with this particular deck, it will catch your opponent off guard, so they won't be expecting Cosmos. But your odds of course topping is not very high because there are cards that just stop you from searching, basically searching from your deck. So your floaters, they can just stop your floaters from doing what they do. But it's just a fun deck, really, all around. Psychic Arsenal literally helps you search out your machines. Of course, it just has to be the you just basically search one, target psychic monster, pay life points equal to its level times 2, and it has to be the same attribute but a higher level from your deck to your hand. And of course, during your main phase, except the turn that this card was sent to the graveyard, you could banish this card, target one card, target one psychic and machine in your out of play, and basically just return it to your hand. Yep. So this helps search out your Jinzo if you need to get to Jinzo for some reason. And then also, when it's graveyard effect, you can banish it. Of course, it has to be turn after, but you at least banish it, and then you can replenish out of play pilots and ships from your out of play to your hand, which I think is phenomenal. And yeah, that's all there really is to say about that. Next up, your win condition, limit removal win condition here. Doubles all machine type monsters attacks, but they die during the end phase. Which in this deck you really don't care because you can just float down into other Cosmo cards. The only ones that don't float from deck to field is the Eclipser, which is your trap negation one, and your Cosmo Dark Planet. Those search from deck to hand. The only thing you have to worry about is maybe Droll and Lockbird, because it searches from deck to hand. I think Droll stops from deck to field too. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure that it's from deck to hand with Droll and Lockbird. But I might have to double check that. But yeah, Droll and Lockbird would probably just stop that regardless. But that's the only card you really have to worry about with this. This is Droll, really. Helps you replenish out of play, DDR, or different dimension reincarnation, which is phenomenal. Discard one. It helps with get some fodder in for your Dark Planet and your Eclipser into the graveyard anyway, and it helps you bring back a Kozmo ship. Usually with this you go for ships, mainly Destroyer, bring it back, pop a monster, you can still attack, and when this goes, Destroyer dies, and then you can float down into a lower ship as well. Your draw, your deck thinning portion, the Lower Darkness. This is pretty much standard, pretty much. It's really nothing new. You can banish the dark, one of your dark machines from your hand, and then of course with the Cosmic Time, you can literally just add it right back to your hand. You can even banish your processor, the psychic processor guy, off of that. Because your opponent's turn, your opponent's standby phase, you would just add it right back to your hand anyway. If it came down to it, you were kind of forced to, you know, then you can, because you know for a fact that you're at least getting that back guaranteed when your opponent's standby phase comes up. All right, so next up, a little bit of board clearing help here. Right, double Raigeki. Love this card. It's one of those things where it's fair, and then it's also not fair to snuff down at the same time, because there's literal monsters that have effects that clear out your opponent's board but not yours. This only clears out monsters, so that's why in today's format this is a pretty fair card, because there's broken monsters that exist now that just activate their effect and just clear your board, which is nuts. So, all right. Next up, a little bit of extra deck lock your opponent out of the extra deck. Spellbound. Literally, what this does is all face-up monsters your opponent currently controls cannot be attributed or used as material for fusion, synchro, exceed, or link summons until the end of this turn. So if you know for a fact what you're facing, what you're up against, you know for a fact, hey, you know I'm up against, for example, Fire King or Fire King Ash. They go into a lot of synchro plays, or they go into a lot of link plays. I think mainly they go into a lot of link plays. You can just activate this before should they step their field, they go into their link plays. Activate this, you lock them out for the turn, which is freaking phenomenal. This can literally save your life if you're low on life points anyway. Yeah, if you know for a fact you're low on life points, you create a badass board, and you know for a fact the board that they're about to put up is gonna break your board. Nah, not this turn, buddy. Not this turn. You know, this can literally win you games, literally. All right, so last spell of the deck is the Moon Mirror Shield. I literally was using this for Farm Girl, but now I can actually use this on Wind Can. Just for a simple fact, if I don't want to banish the Wind Can during end phase, I'll just equip this onto him and just keep him on the field, because it literally just makes him as strong as the strongest monster on the field, plus 100, which is freaking great. A zero attack monster becoming 41 is actually kind of ridiculous. It's what the hell, And you could just pay life points and put this back on the top or bottom of your deck if this card dies for whatever reason, like MST, or somebody just removes it from the field with an effect or something. Alright, so, and then of course the only traps I run in here is Kozmo Joe. And I only have it at 2. 3 can be a little but I think 2 is the perfect sweet spot, because this really doesn't really need too many traps in here. This is literally around problem cards that say no, it cannot be targeted or anything like that. Mainly it's also for a mirror match if you actually happen to come up against a mirror match, because this is a non-target banishment. So you just pop one of your own Kozmo monsters, and then you can literally banish one card from your opponent's field or their graveyard, whichever you want, which is actually phenomenal. But that is the end of the deck profile here for you guys. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. If you guys did find it informative, please leave a like on the channel or on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. And of course, as always, hit that notification bell so you can get notified every single time I upload a video here for you on the channel. But with that said, guys, be sure to tell your family that you love them. Stay casual. Be safe out there. The world is going nuts. But I'll catch you guys next time. Have a great day.